Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, how's it going? Underground Geek here, just hanging out, Subterranean Otaku. So, I did a video on this guy already, and it got a pretty good bit of views. I mean, it got 1,600 views so far, and I've only got 400 subs, so I would think that would be pretty good, I don't know, pretty good view count there. But so now it continues. Now we're on to part 2, because this guy is doing, it's like they all have a playbook and they're all using the same plays over and over and over, even though they don't work, they use them every time, and it's got to make you wonder if they all just have the same personality. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, B. Claymore came out a while back, and he was basically crapping on everybody. The dude didn't even he didn't try to deny it either. So basically what happened was Ethan Van Sciver is one of the nicest comic book pros that you'll ever meet in your life, and somehow these SJWs always had to come out and attack the nice people. I think it's because they think that they're easy targets. I've had one idiot tell me that on Twitter before whenever he was attacking Ethan, and I just had enough, and I said, leave the dude alone, you don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, he's such an easy target. And that's what I think it is. So if you are convicted of wrong think in these little circles in the comic book world, they will attack you because they feel like you need to be voted out of the club. So he starts attacking Ethan, and Ethan basically just tells him, hey, tell your friends and your fans to leave me alone. I just want to make comic books. And he's just like, wow, I can't believe that. Wow, And so this goes on, and then he attacks the Umbrella guy, a guy that I follow on Twitter. He attacks him, starts making fun of his name because he's got nothing else to go on. And really the guy should just apologize, because he is one of the guys that got caught trying to trick Diversity in Comics into assaulting them to where they could assault him. They had gotten together in their little private groups on Facebook, and they got caught, and they're busted, and they basically just need to apologize and move on. He said in the comments, we're going to have to try to trigger his PTSD to make him hit us, where we can hit him and get him arrested. I mean, that's pretty crappy, isn't it? And so this has continued on, because now, first you come out and attack somebody. When that doesn't work, you make fun of them. And when that doesn't work, you play the victim. And when that doesn't work, you turn around as to they're actually attacking another small minority group, and they're terrible people. It's the same thing over and over and over, and they don't learn from it. Because when you have the receipts, you have the receipts. And by receipts, I mean we have all the paper trails where he said this and said that. You can't, I mean, it's in printed form. It's right there for everybody to see. Nobody hacked your account, made you say that. You're just a jerk. Not only that, this is the same guy that has a Kickstarter that has had a Kickstarter for I think over a year now, and still not produced a comic book, and has over $20,000 worth of money that he's gotten from Patreon members and stuff, and Kickstarter members, and we still don't have the book. If you're wondering what book that is, I believe it's called Hawaiian Dick. Yes. About Hawaiian detective, or detective in Hawaii. And then he's got another book, Big Hawaiian Dick. This is the kind of humor that we're talking about here. This is the kind of people that's supposed to be taken serious. This is the same guy that wrote a book in Valiant titled Savage, that was basically Tarzan as a kid fighting dinosaurs. Yes. That is as far as the originality with this group goes. And I know that I'm not one of those intellectual types that uses big words, this and that and the other. I'm just a simple guy. I see something, I call it like it is, I move on. I don't use fancy deflection words. I call a spade, and he's a jerk. Because this is what he's doing now. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of the discussion here. Now he's playing victim. When that didn't work, he started saying this right here. This is what he tweeted. Just learning a good friend was diagnosed with PTSD after a suicide attempt was probably the worst time to watch a video in which someone invents a story about people trying to trigger his non-existent PTSD. I should be angry, but it's really just deflating and pitiable. This is pretty sorry. So basically, he's trying to use a non-existent friend that had a non-existent suicide attempt conveniently at this point in time. It probably happened. If it did happen, it happened 5 or 6 years ago, and he's just now bringing it up because it fits in the narrative. But I'd like to see this friend because he's still not appeared. But anyway, so then he pretty much steps on his own narrative because he says it's non-existent PTSD. So you tried to say that someone that you knew didn't even have PTSD had PTSD. So basically, you're making fun of people that have PTSD, but then again, we're not allowed to say that. Okay. He said, I should be angry. But, you know, they always try to take the high road and always try to talk down to those people when they're trying to say something. They have to dehumanize them. They have to put them down. They're children compared to them. They're not worthy of their time, even though you tried to get somebody assaulted. Okay. And we're going to get back to that in a minute. So this basically goes on and on. Somebody calls him out and says, oh, look, you're trying to weasel your way out of being caught for being a crappy person by looking for sympathy. You're too obvious. Exactly. Here's your little golf clap. And then this is his response with no likes. It's got no likes in 7 hours. I'm not the one pretending to be the poor victim of some imaginary plot. You just tweeted where you were trying to play the victim. Amigo. It takes an especially crappy person to invent some weird PTSD scenario out of thin air. You just did that. Shows how much empathy he has for the real victims of PTSD. Take a breath and think it over, or don't. Breathing has nothing to do with thinking. Just so you know. If you had empathy for people with PTSD, you wouldn't try to get it to flare up in someone you thought had it. Boom! Oh! People are running around now screaming, oh, and doing juju on that beat in the background because you just got burned so hard you're going to need some ointment for that. And then here he is here, you know, bringing up no such. It's always the one professing the most support that I'd keep an eye on. The ones who oppose your agenda openly are at least honest about it. Are you talking about Hollywood pedophiles? Or are you talking about you going on secret circles on Facebook and trying to plot to get someone arrested? Just leave that little tidbit there. I mean, if someone is willing to portray trust and exploit their power to assault, harass women or men, you can't really believe anything they say, you know. Caught supporting ideology out of convenience. That's exactly what you're doing. You're sitting in a circle trying to say the right thing so that you can be part of the club. You want to be at Marvel so bad you can't see straight. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about here. It's just plumb ignorant. And let's go back to what he first said here. Just learning a good friend was diagnosed with PTSD after a suicide attempt was probably the wrong time to watch a video in which someone invents a story about people trying to trigger his non-existent PTSD. So you admit that you went on there and watched this video. You don't like the guy, but you go watch his videos. Makes a lot of sense. And let's just talk about that for a minute. The reason I'm getting so upset about this is I'm gonna let y'all in on a little tidbit. I actually had a good friend of mine that was in the Marines who was actually hurt outside of the Marines, and his PTSD pretty much flared up every day and caused him to have problems because he was depressed because of his injury. He would have these angry fits where he would just, you know, become very aggressive. And that has a lot to do with PTSD. That's where a lot of military people are when they get out. They're very aggressive. They don't understand that there's 1 to 10. They just have a 10. It's stop or go for them a lot of times. And so I got out of touch with him because it got to where I was helping him out so much that I couldn't help myself. And I felt like I was being, you know, used a little bit. And maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. So we lost contact. And then he actually reached out to me, and I didn't answer it. And then shortly after that, he killed himself related to his PTSD. He blew his brains out. I'll just go ahead and tell you. And So that's something that I had to deal with now. A friend of mine had PTSD, killed himself, and there's nothing I could do. Well, there was something I could do about it, and I just didn't do anything about it. So when I see people like this use this as a smokescreen to cover their trail as they tuck tail and run, it really upsets me. And you're always going to have people like that. You're just going to take it in stride. But this is an example of human garbage. This person should be shamed for the shield that they are, and they should be run out of town with torches and pitchforks, basically. They should be tarred and feathered, run out of town. They should be run to that little windmill on the hill and burn the windmill to the ground. Because this is the lowest form of humanity here. These are the kind of people that these quote-unquote pros are, that want to use people with actual problems to hide behind them when they say something stupid or try to assault people. That's what's bringing me by the next point. B. Claymore, if you're watching this video, just know that I didn't even know who you were 2 months ago. And since then, you have done nothing but show that you are a self-loathing, terrible human being that so badly wants to be in Marvel that you will drop to the lows of hiding behind people with actual disorders to cover your trail for trying to get into circles and get someone assaulted that's a U.S. veteran. That's the kind of person that you are. And when you do produce your book eventually, I hope that you have 0 sales because you're a disgusting human being and I want nothing to do with you. That's all I got to say about that. I'm not one of those guys that goes flamboyant and starts cussing and spitting and shouting. And, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I just tell it how it is. So that's all I got to say. I got some more videos coming today. I'm going to talk about the live stream last night with Dan Slott and Ethan Van Sciver. And, yeah, hopefully tomorrow we'll have some good books. So let me know if you want me to do a pull list video. I've been doing pull list videos, but they haven't done very well, so I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. So just let me know if I should keep doing that. Also, make sure you go to my Teespring and support me, and also have a Patreon now because I want to be like everybody else. And support me on there. That's going to go towards my comic book that I'm starting. Yeah, so that's all I got, guys. All right, talk to you later. Underground Geek out.